Dr. Goldman is our palliative medicine fellows, and he completed residency in Coney Island Hospital, New York, and graduated from St. George University of Medicine. He has an undergraduate degree in Brooklyn College with a dual degree in biology and film production. Okay, so it's a very interesting undergraduate study. This training allowed him to create several short films. Are you going to show this today?
This will be one.
Great. So today Dr. Goldman has a special interest in palliative medicine with a focus on academic instructions. Babak has several poster presentation and journal publication under his belt, but this first grand round for us. Today he will speak to us about something new and important.
The Life Legacy Project.
I did pause her. I was like,
I think it's actually be good for the students to see. All right. So basically, what we started to do, I wanted to do something. I wanted to create something that put together some parts of palliative medicine and my film background. And what we decided to do was create something called the Life Legacy Project at the University of Texas, which has now really taken off. And this is the first one we've done. First patient we did, and with that we submitted it to the Lance Armstrong Cancer Foundation, the Livestrong Foundation, and we were a Livestrong finalist, although we did not win. But we were a Livestrong finalist. Generated a lot of publicity and a lot of word of mouth, which we're very excited about. And the entire University of Texas health system has really enjoyed this and taken it under their belt and trying to get funding for it and grants for it to implement this on a patient-to-patient basis, which is something that we're very happy with. The goal of the project was to create a living memory of patients that are terminally ill. And I know some other institutions have things like that, but the way I saw them was when you saw their videos, it was very sad and depressing, and you saw it was mostly about the death part of that patient's disease, about them dying. This is not. This is about their life. And as you'll see through the entire, you'll never know what disease she has. You can't even tell she's dying. You don't even know the diagnosis. We don't even talk about that. We talk about her life and her family and her memories and her advice for future generations and anything she'd like to pass on. And one of the things that we actually learned from doing this was that patient psychological satisfaction improved during this time. As they talked about their lives, they got a better sense of their disease and they got a better sense of what was happening with them internally, which helped that dying transition psychologically improve as well. So it had kind of a two-pronged approach. So it's about 35 minutes. Again, this isn't edited for dramatization, so there's some parts of it where she'll just talk, which is fine. I kept it. I didn't edit anything out. But I added music and sound and images and try to tell her life story in a way that will keep you interested. And hopefully we'll try to do this for other patients as well. So some parts of it are a little dragged out, but some parts of it are very funny and exciting, but just bear with it. It's about 35 minutes. Let's go to the videotape. You were born in Seattle?
I was born in Seattle in Maynard Hospital.
I thought Maynard was a pretty funny name. That was during the time when Dobie Gillis was doing his show. And so Maynard was kind of a gag. I mean, it's supposed to be funny. Anyway, this last year we went out to Seattle for vacation this summer. And I found out that Maynard was the pioneer doctor of Seattle. In fact, he was one of the builders of Seattle.
Yeah, you alright?
So when they built the hospital, they built it, named it after him. So it's not a goofy name at all. Goofy place he was born. I don't know if the building's still there or not, but
I don't think it is.
probably it wasn't. It was down there on the tidal marshes, probably. And my parents were in, both of them were at the University of Washington. My father was in the U.S. Army Air Force. Just getting ready, the war was just ending, so
World War
they were
II?
training pilots, so he was being trained at Pullman, whatever. Anyway, they met and got married, and the war ended.
What was your father's name?
Albert,
And your mother's name?
Elizabeth.
Albert and Elizabeth.
He had two classic names.
And they got married after the war?
They got married after the war. I went to live with my grandmother in South Washington State. Well, I think my father worked with a sawmill for a while because there wasn't any other work to be had. So there was lumber, there was salmon, lumber, yards, and that's about it. And it pretty much looked the same now. When we went there the summers it did then. Not much changed. But I left there and we went to South Washington, stayed with my grandmother on a farm. They had a little farm and it was cute. My grandmother grew beautiful flowers. My grandfather had two pastures. One of them was, you could see Mount Adams, and the other one you could see Mount Hood. And he had a little barn and some hay, and it's kind of like an idyllic little spot. And when it snowed with those two mountains on either side of the passage, pasture, it was beautiful. We didn't stay there very long. We did go back to visit. And Grandpa let me drive his tractor once, which was almost a disaster because I didn't know I knew how to go and I knew how to keep going, but I didn't know how to stop. And so we were coming upon this great big log. I had to get nearly thrown off the tractor to get it stopped. But I still remained enthusiastic about the place, and so that's where I love to go visit at Christmas. That was my favorite place.
How many brothers and sisters were you?
Well, at that point we were expanding. So we were At that point, Bonnie was a baby.
That's me.
Ah, Bonnie. let me get Bonnie in here.
Bonnie.
I was a baby once.
Oh, it's beautiful. Oh, perfect. How about you? Let me just zoom out a little bit. And Bonnie's is what number sister are you?
I am number 4 out of 6.
Girls?
Mm-hmm.
Really? 4 out of 6 girls. And Miss Barrow?
She's number.
I'm the eldest.
Okay.
Bobby is supposed to be the fairest.
The what?
Fairest of them all.
The youngest?
Yeah, but she's not.
Was it all girls?
Yes.
Yeah.
All girls, no boys.
Right.
Oh, I feel for your father.
No, you should feel sorry for all your... No. No. He would have expected any of his boys to be quarterbacks.
Yeah.
No matter how horrible they were at athletics. They were going to be a quarterback. And
So-
that was his determination. So everything we did, it didn't matter whether we were the best or the most or the best, the most IQ, high IQ. It didn't matter to him. We weren't quarterbacks. So that's just,
all the names of your sisters. Tell them about the names.
Yes.
the names. Yeah, the names. Burl, that's the name of a gem.
Barrow?
That's
Yeah,
you.
that's a green
Yep.
gem.
Uh-huh.
Semi-emerald.
Semi-precious stone?
What?
Was it a semi-precious stone?
Yeah, it's a semi-precious stone.
So name them in order, and he'll hear the interesting thing about the names of the sisters.
In
So,
order? Is
yeah.
interesting?
Yeah. Well, say the names of your sisters.
Burl, Becky,
Huh?
Betsy, Bonnie, Barbara, yeah,
Mhm.
Bobby.
and Bobby.
Yeah. All B's.
Oh, bees.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Very nice. Why do they specifically choose bees? No.
Why did they choose bees?
I don't know, my mother's name was Elizabeth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They called her Beth.
Yeah, and her nickname was Beth, and they just decided to go with bees. I don't know. I think that there was a time when people thought that was cute to have all their, like dogs. You know, you have a pack of dogs and you name them all Jiggly and Jello. And it was cute. It was cute, and it was kind of a put down. You know, you're a passel or something. You're not a... I mean, you'll never be president named
Bobby. Was it Bobby
yeah, right.
Kennedy?
Oh, right. Bonnie Sue.
Sue. Yeah.
President Bonnie Sue Story. That's me. Yeah, I mean, they weren't serious names.
I thought yours is a serious name.
Well, it is if you're from Britain. Like, from South Africa. Like Beryl Markham. But then they pronounce it Beryl instead of Burl. That's the southern rednecks that started pronouncing it Burl. So we have two different pronunciations.
Where did you, your family tells me that you had graduated from university. Tell me how did you decide what to study, and how was it being a female graduating from university?
Well, we moved so much. I went to 3 different high schools. And then graduated from high school, and by the time I went to Methodist college for the first 2 years, and then Auburn finally started allowing women to participate or to go to Auburn. And how did it feel comparison with my father's expectations and stuff. There are too many courses that are too difficult for me to feel real proud of it. I mean, like you were saying, you were on the
I imagine.
chemistry, yeah, because I remember one semester I took, and I just walked out of the class because the test was ridiculous. It had nothing to do with what we had been talking about. So I just got up and left, and I made an F on that quarter. But I continued with the lab, so I didn't have to take it over. And
What degrees did you graduate with?
chemistry. They didn't have anything called specialized.
Chemistry. And what was the name of the university?
Auburn.
Alman University?
Auburn.
Oh, Auburn. Oh, Auburn University.
Yeah,
Okay.
Auburn. They're the Texas A&M of Alabama. And yeah, I was proud of myself as a personal accomplishment, but my mother came up from Mobile for the graduation. My father didn't come though, and my mother brought me this. My sister-in-law came and she brought me this little present, a little suitcase type thing. And my mother brought a little card. She said she was kind of embarrassed when she gave it to me because I think she thought maybe she should have bought me something, but we didn't get special things for doing, going to school, making good grades. We didn't get anything for that. It was just something that happened. So I can't really say. I don't have a picture. I have one picture. It's a black and white snapshot. Real big grin. So then I worked, yes.
What did you do after you graduated?
I worked in a factory for about 6 months until I got laid off. They laid off a bunch of people and I was one of them. And I was doing quality control checking of tapes. Like CD tapes. Well,
Recording tapes?
The recording tape, yeah. They don't do that anymore.
I didn't know you worked there.
Yeah. Okay. Boy, what an eye-opener that was.
So you didn't get much use out of your chemistry degree?
No, my next job was working at in the animal science department at Auburn.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah,
So just a few things for the people that came in a little bit late about her. She was a patient at University Hospital who we decided to do the first test trial of this project with. She was actually, used to work for the university. She is a technician at the transplant center, and she herself, in the course of her career, amassed the largest physically samples of Hispanic liver tissue in the world, based on what she did for the transplant center. She was a lady that graduated with 2 degrees, a degree in chemistry and a degree in art from Auburn University, which was very impressive for a female in the 1960s, 1970s. And then to come back and amass such a vast array of liver tissues that are still used today. And when she was, we won't go through her disease, but when she was diagnosed with what she was diagnosed with, she actually ended up working double time just to finish what she was completing. And during the course of the video, we'll go through exactly what it was that her life was about and what it is that she wishes to relate to the next or her family or her grandson that she'll talk about soon. The video wasn't about her disease, and it's not about her dying. It's not at all. She never talks about her disease. We never talk about her disease. We never talk about her dying. A few things that you do see comes out. She does have some pent-up emotions about her mother and father, and that comes out, and it's kind of like a psychological way of her talking about it, and she feels better about it afterwards. I mean, she's always a little pissed off at her dad for never giving her the credit she deserved, and she'll tell you, he never came to graduation, he was never proud of me, he didn't really care what I did, and that we felt like that gave her a sense of just talking it out, and it helped her a little bit. I apologize for the pauses. It shouldn't. I've never seen it done before. I mean, we've shown it in a lot of places, but hopefully it'll be smooth.
It wasn't very
Tasty.
tasty. Yeah, they had to try to find different,
So here she worked for a place to create a low-fat,
different ways
low-calorie
of
hamburger.
getting people to buy this stuff for no reason. It seems like there should be some use for it. And then,
And how did you become to have children and get married?
And you have another degree.
Yeah.
Another college degree.
oh yeah.
So you have a whole...
I got divorced again first. I think of it as getting out of Alabama. So, well, I didn't exactly get out of Alabama. I got as far as Mobile. And then I started looking for jobs, and the only jobs available on the Gulf Coast in Mississippi, in Louisiana. So I went to one job interview, and I really liked it. The place was landscape, shrimp boats everywhere. Part of the job that the people there were to go out and collect, that means fish, go fishing, collect all these different types of fish. It's what's biting today and what's not biting, and fly over and coordinate airplane, coordinate where the fish are from the air, take aerial pictures while the boats are getting the fish. I guess it's to help locate fish. But that was I didn't actually do that either. I worked in the lab, the quality control of the water. We did analysis of water, pesticides in the water. So that was pretty esoteric too, I guess. We'd go out behind the lab, right out in the middle of the, well, what are those things called? Bayou. And I was out there collecting one day by myself at the edge of the bayou in the deep shade. And I felt this presence. Looking at the back of my neck. And so I turned around slowly, and there was an alligator about 4 feet away from me. And half a second later, I was up on the shore, and my boots were in the mud. So the boots stayed out there, and I went in and told them what happened, and the other guys who collected samples, we all agreed that from now on, nobody would go out and you'd have to be in pairs. You'd go out to the bayou and collect. But from that I know the predator
So, who's this lovely young man next to you?
He's my son. He was born in Biloxi. We were living in Ocean Springs, and Biloxi was the only place to have a baby.
It was just right across the bridge.
Not modern, yeah, it wasn't modern like it is now. But yeah, we met. I met Eric's dad, and we got married. And yeah, there's Theo. He's 8.
Yeah.
Yeah, Theo is something else.
Is there anything you want to say specifically to Theo that when he grows up he can remember or think about?
Yeah, he's a bright light in my life. I didn't know that you could be so happy as to have a little child that would make you feel so much joy and just by being in existence. And there's just nobody like him.
Yeah.
Any advice that you have for Theo?
Yeah, keep doing what you're doing. And keep doing it the way you're doing it.
And how is that?
Total enthusiasm. All our arms on deck, isn't that what they used to say?
Yeah.
All hands on deck, I
All
guess.
hands on deck.
You always tell me that he's nothing like me, or that I'm nothing like I was when I was a kid. I was nothing like him.
No,
Where was this? Because he just started the camera up again. So where was this?
Frankfurt, Germany.
Frankfurt, Germany. And what happened?
Ronald Reagan bombed Muammar Gaddafi. And that led to the, I guess, Cold War between Libya and the United States. And then there's more politics and more politics added on. But that was...
But you told me not to wear my coat with the flag on it.
Yeah, I told you not to talk.
Yeah.
No talking, no... After a while, I kind of fizzled down, and we could be almost normal. But one day I got on the train. I always rode when Eric started coming with me, we rode the first class because the Germans won't pay very much extra to get a whole lot. So for 38 cents more per month, they get the first class ride. They're not going to pay that 38 cents. So they've got these beautiful cabins just going down the tracks with nothing in them, nobody in them, because they don't want to pay that 38 cents. So we had the place pretty much to ourselves. And one day there was this bellowing, loud bellowing. Well, it was opera to me, which is, well, I really didn't know what it was. But the guy was singing opera at the top of his lungs, bass, whatever it is. And it's so loud in such a confined area that it's hard to understand what's going on. But finally he quit singing, and he asked for directions to the U.S. Army hospital. But he asked it in very stilted German, because he's in Germany, so I said, "Are you an American?" He said, "Why, yes." And so I told him, how to get off. I said, "I'm an American too. I go past here every day." His wife wanted to get a job at the hospital, so I hope she did.
I don't remember. Was I there?
No, you weren't there
No, I
that
wasn't
day.
there. Yeah, we would ride the trains. To go. I would go to school and you'd go to work.
Yeah, well, there was so much trouble when he had to go to a school in,
Frankfurt.
it was an army school.
Mm-hmm.
And that was fine, but he had to take the city bus.
Mm-hmm.
I forgot why.
And my teacher was awful.
Well, yeah, but that was a different thing. I don't remember why you had to take why you couldn't ride,
I don't know. For some
why
reason.
the Army didn't provide the bus. Well, anyway, yeah, so
What brought you back to the States again?
orders.
Board?
Orders.
Oh, orders.
Yeah, my stepdad at the time.
Yeah, he got bored with Europe. All of Europe. The entire continent of Europe bored. Steve.
Yeah.
And you moved to Texas?
Uh-huh.
And what did you do here?
Well, we started working here at the hospital.
What did you do for the hospital?
I was a research aide.
For how many years did you work for the hospital?
20 years.
You started off doing something different than what you ended up
Yeah, I was in mouse bone research.
Wow, that's very impressive.
Yeah, I spent a lot of time in front of a microscope.
Well, you worked for Dr. Boyce,
Bone expert of the world, yep,
and he gave you quite a good compliment,
he did.
if you remember. It was I believe it was at a lecture. She would cut.
Oh, yeah.
She would cut bone at a cellular level, right? You'd make
Yeah.
these things that they could look at them, look at the bone, right?
The nuclei of the bone.
Yeah. And he said, and he told he was giving a presentation, and he told all these people that you were the best in the world at doing that.
Yeah, then he ups and decides to move to Rochester, where he can get a toehold on a higher paying job, I guess. So he wanted me to go with him, and I said, no, I'm not going. He said, why not? Because I said, it's a Yankee city. Which he looked, at first when I said that, he looked bewildered, but then he kind of got it.
So, then you had Steve. Yeah, we divorced Steve.
Mm-hmm.
And then who'd you meet?
RG.
RG.
Richard.
Richard, yeah.
Yeah, he came over to fix to visit his brother. He was living in New Jersey, or Charleston. His brother was living here, and he came to visit at Christmas. And he came over to my house, and the roof was rotting off the front roof line, so he came back to fix that. And he just kind of stayed.
Couldn't get rid of him.
Yeah, just stayed. And that's that.
Yeah.
For how long?
How long have you been with him?
18, 20 years.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you want to say to Richard, or any memories that you want to tell us?
Yeah, he's my exact. I used to have this image of the guy that I wanted to have a life with, and it was always a guy with a flannel flannel workshop sitting surrounded by a bunch of wood paneling. And that's kind of what I got.
Yeah.
So everything worked out pretty well.
It worked out pretty well.
Yeah. And I'm the one that gave him his nickname.
Yeah, we had too many Richards at that time.
Well, that and you just kept calling him by his full name. When he was living in Charleston. Remember, he was living in Charleston and he'd call all the time. And you'd say, Richard Greenlee calls. Finally, I got tired of saying Richard Greenlee, so I started calling him RG.
Would you like to talk a little bit about your art?
Well, after Richard's dad and I got married, I got a lot more creative. We lived on Dauphin Island, and it was a perfect place to be an artist, especially when you don't have any responsibility because you're not making the family money. So I used to drive around this little car with my camera, with my lens tripod. So I'd throw some crumbs out over the water and take pictures of the seagulls diving on those crumbs. And those are the best pictures of seagulls. And so I would paint those, and that was fun.
Shrimp boats.
The shrimp boats, the best painting I did was a slide. And I've got the slide. I mean, I have a slide of the best watercolor I ever did. It was shrimp, oyster men in the early morning fog. And I do have the slide, and that's the best one I did, I think.
Did you win an award for that one at the arts?
Yeah, I think so.
You won several awards for
I won
many.
a lot of awards. There wasn't much competition in Ocean
Oh, you're
Springs.
being modest.
Ever modest, yeah.
Well, yeah, well, I got into the painting and the art by just being living there along the Gulf Coast. The Mississippi Gulf Coast has a lot of people interested in art. So I guess you'd call it an art colony. And there's just almost no way not to be out painting. See painting with people with easels and notebooks, and nobody even turns a head. They're just there. And so I naturally had to get into the flow of it. I did make some money painting portraits, and I did get in touch with, I did sell galleries, through galleries. I had galleries on Dauphin Island and in Mobile and along the Florida line, not in Florida.
Okay, Miss Story, it was actually a pleasure hearing the little bit that I did. It looks like you've lived a very full and effervescent life in all different parts of the country and the world. Is there anything you want to say before we say goodbye? Yeah.
kind of the couple of the topics that I wanted to discuss. I know they're about a couple minutes, 10 minutes, but the goal of the grand rounds is to see how I thought that this helped patients, especially palliative patients or patients that are dying, and what we can do, you know, in whatever institutions that you're at, individuals are at, or wherever you're going to go, how you can help create something or help with that dying process. So any questions before I do my little spiel? Anything? Anybody want to say anything? Add, subtract, say, likes, dislikes? Nothing? Speechless? So one of the things that we inadvertently discovered while making the video was how patients started opening up about their lives, and when having that end of life discussion with patients is not always an easy discussion. Them specifically and their family members even more. You know, we get a sense that this person's going to be with us forever, and even when they have a terminal disease, it's very difficult for us to let go, and we'll sometimes push the boundaries of life to maintain life, but really reduce quality in order to maintain quantity of life. And that's sometimes a difficult thing to try to explain to patients and to try to explain to family members. But one of the things that we learned from this process was that as the patient and her family, her only son and her sister were there talking with her and sharing with her about her life, they ended up seeing the life she had and the type of person she was. That she was an independent person who liked to do things on her own, live on her own, and really enjoyed her quality of life. And when it came down to making a decision of how she wanted her life to be, would she want, for example, even DNR, DNI, would she want to be resuscitated, would she want aggressive management, the family got a sense of what this person was and who this person was. And the patient, by talking about it, got a sense of what she was. And she was not a type of person to want aggressive interventions or pegs and trachs and tubes when that moment came. She wanted to be on her farm, she wanted to be at peace and have more of a quality of life than a quantity of life. And that kind of helped our process along, and I think that kind of helps with difficult patients and when there's a conflict between family members, you know, I want mom always wanted this, or mom didn't want that, or this was helpful. Obviously we couldn't do this, we can't do this for everyone, but just the fact of talking it about and having those family meetings and sharing with the siblings and the spouse and the the brothers and sisters and the children helps as a community for the family to realize what it is that patient really wants for themselves, and that makes the decision a little easier. Another thing inadvertently that we discovered was that when she talks about her mom or her dad in this situation, but it could be other things in different patients we've seen, that a lot of pent-up issues that they have, a lot of things that they haven't said or they feared saying, in this environment they'll open up and they'll talk about it. Like she talks about how she was resentful to her dad, for never appreciating the fact that he had girls. He always wanted boys. He always wanted his boys to be quarterbacks. Even though they were all smart and educated and accomplished a lot, he never gave them credit. And that was something that was obviously bothering her for many years. And afterwards, we asked her, and she felt better about saying it. She felt better about talking about it. And other patients, other things that came up during the course of their story, they felt comfortable disclosing, and they felt more at peace about getting it off their chest at the end of their life. And that had a very huge psychological impact and a very important psychological or social effect on their end-of-life care. So those are two inadvertent things that we learned, which actually were very helpful for this patient. One of the things that we tried to do here was to try to create something as a living memory, not as a dying memory, as a living memory for her and her family. And we tried to do it the goal is to try to get enough grant money and try to get enough resources to at least be able to do it for patients, for more patients, for more families to have. And I think it'd be a good resource for the hospital to advertise and create, that we have this program available here at the University of Texas that we can supply. We tried to implement it with medical students and residents that rotate. Each medical student or each resident should do at least one video. Obviously not like this is supposed to be a shorter version, so I'm making a template so medical students and residents can easily put this together in a 15-minute video, not 37 minutes like this. And music, there's about 7 tracks of music, there's different layers of sound, but that's too complicated. I mean, we're going to try to do something very easy to have medical students and residents do. So I think it's something that can grow, and it's something that could be a very major part of the university program.
What is the cost to take this hand?
Not very little, actually. So I edited the entire thing on a PC on Windows Movie Maker.
But your time is very valuable.
Time, yes. So the time itself is a lot, and that's why I'm trying to make a template so that the future residents or students can easily put it together. I don't think putting in the pictures in the middle and adding the sound in the middle it's very time consuming. This took me about just 11 hours just to edit, not including the shooting and cataloging of the video and the music. But just the editing part took a long time. But hopefully I'm trying to get it to 2 hours, where it'll take just 2 hours to edit it based on the checklist and the things they can just put in place.
Like you said, if there's family conflict, you offer this kind of service. Can you charge them? Can you, what is the ultimate goal for your research or grant?
Right. I've actually gotten a lot of offers for money. Yeah, I've actually gotten a lot of offers. People said that we'll do it if whatever it is. We'd like to have something like this with my dad, or I'd like to have something like this with my mom. So I think you can charge for it. We haven't thought about that. Or I think it's just going to be a free service. At least that's up to Dr. Nolan and the University of Texas people. But I think you can. On the private side, I think if people want to put that together, they definitely can. I don't see. I've gotten estimates about $750 a video. People are willing to pay. So, and for let's say 20 hours of work, that's not bad.
You gave this family a copy on DVD, I'm
His
assuming?
family has a copy on DVD, and she actually passed away about a month afterwards. I'm not sure if she saw it. I know her family saw it. I asked her when she was with me if she wanted to watch it with me. She didn't want to. But I don't know if she saw it afterwards when she went home. But she passed away.
Did you have a relationship with her before you did?
I do, and that's very, yeah. So I think that another thing that we're trying to implement for the students and the residents is that you can't just go in there and set up shop and start filming. There's certain pathway that we try to go on. I knew a lot about her. I had talked to her before, so I knew the questions that I wanted to ask. And sometimes she'll diverge and go off and talk about something. So I would try to bring her back and at least discuss some of the things that I knew were important, like her new husband, her son, her grandson, and her siblings, and her mom and dad. So she is directed down the pathway, and I think you need to know about your patients a little bit more than just sitting there and saying, "What's up?" talking to the mic.
Now, this particular video you had take place in the hospital room. Did you make home visits to your patients, and did you ever envision having this type of thing done in the home with other family members present?
She was in the hospital for a long time, so I'll take the first part of the question first. So she was in the hospital for a long time, and so I did a couple of back and forth visits with her and talked with her and chatted with her, and her son was very helpful in providing me with the photographs that were put in. So with her, I spent a significant amount of time. I think it would be a great idea for home visits. I think it'd be easier to do in a home visit. You hear that humming sound in the background? That's the airbed inflating and deflating. There's people coming and going, doors closing and shutting, and everyone's wearing a yellow gown, and it still has that sense of a hospital. I know she has that Auburn tiger around her neck. She's like, "Should I take it off?" I was like, "No, that gives it at least a homey feel." But at least in home, you get more of that.
Yes, and I've
home
gotten
setting.
feedback from students that I've worked with, medical students, in setting up a curriculum, that includes the home visits, and the feedback I've gotten is phenomenal. They usually will say that they've never experienced anything like that, and it was a very valuable experience to actually be with a patient at home and see, for multiple visits and that kind of thing.
I think it'd be if
it's a setting that paints a picture.
Right. And you have
A
the
lot faster than a hospital room
Right.
does.
and you have the room, you have the even the knitted blanket that they have on them is sometimes a family just passed down from generation to generation, and their children are there, and it definitely does. And hopefully, I mean, if the money comes through, I'm sure they're going to start implementing it and using it as a source to advertise the university's abilities in end-of-life care for patients. Dr. Adam.
Yeah, so basically I think it's a great idea. It actually reminds me of Michael Keaton movie My Life,
Yeah.
where actually he was filming himself, he was dying, he's never gonna meet his unborn son, so he's passing his legacy, and that goes in parallel with what you're trying to do. And I think it's a great thing that gives the family like a sense of purpose instead of focusing on the end is near. It's like, how can we recount your life? How can we give it, you know, some positive spin? I wouldn't like anyone to charge anyone for it. I wouldn't have added to the tough job that we already have as fellows, residents, and students. I think it should be gotten through a grant, where actually there will be a professional person who doesn't need to be a full-time, like a part-time, who can come and help those patients. And I totally agree. Filming them at home in their own natural environment might be even help them for a better closure.
I think that's a great idea, and I know that Dr. Nolan is trying to get a devoted, when the grants come through, a devoted person just to do the videos, and I know that's his goal. And you're right. I don't think it's a, you know, it always at the end of the day comes down to money, but it's uncomfortable charging for it. But I've had family members come and say, if you can do it, I pay you for it. And that's, I guess that's just their sense of saying it's something that they would like to have. So definitely if the grant comes through, it would be very nice.
Okay, we're out of time. Thank you very much, Doctor, for the presentation. If you haven't signed in, please do so now. And you'll be receiving a evaluation online later today, so please fill that out. Thank you.
Get our credit. Is it on the same test guide? Because I get like psychiatrist ones, but I haven't.
Well, you're on the list now.
Yeah, but I've signed in a few times, but when I signed in like test guide,
I have the link when I send the survey down there. I have the link.
Is there a sign-in sheet with autographs there?
If you don't find your name, you can just write at the very end.
Paparazzi.
There was one on here. I've got a one-page version I can send.
Oh, okay. Should I just find
I know. Video. Thank you.
I've taken pictures for Dr. Prang for years. I've done ad hoc.